I want you to picture a scenario that I think a lot of us have been in, or at least, dreamt about. It's late, maybe 11:30 at night. The house is quiet. You've got your laptop open, and you are deep, deep in the rabbit hole of real estate listings.
The dangerous hour.
The dangerous hour, exactly. And then you find it. You click on a listing, and it just pops. The photos are spectacular. I'm talking golden hour lighting streaming through the windows, marble countertops that are just gleaming, not a single speck of dust anywhere.
It looks less like a house and, I don't know, more like a movie set.
Completely. And then you read the description, and it reads like a novel. It tells you about the lush, sprawling garden, perfect for entertaining, and the state-of-the-art finishes. It's checking every single box. You even pop a quick question into the little chat window. Is this area zoned for a guest house? And boom, 3 seconds later, a polite, authoritative reply says, yes, absolutely.
It feels seamless. It feels, efficient.
It feels like destiny. So you get excited, you book a flight, or you drive out there, you pull up to the address, and your heart just sinks. Because that marble is actually a cheap laminate with a really, really good digital filter on it. That sprawling garden is overgrown bush that hasn't seen a machete in, 5 years?
And what about the zoning?
That's the kicker. The chatbot lied. You can't build a guest house there. The zone is strictly single family.
That is the nightmare scenario. It's the classic bait and switch, but nope, it's been turbocharged by technology. And sadly, it's becoming more common.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we aren't just telling horror stories. We're exploring a collision that is happening right now, and it affects anyone looking to buy or sell property. We're talking about the collision between artificial intelligence and specifically the Jamaican real estate market.
It's such a fascinating intersection when you think about it. Real estate is the ultimate physical asset. It's land, it's dirt, it's concrete blocks. But the way we experience it, the way we shop for it, is becoming almost, entirely synthetic.
We are working off a really fresh commentary from the Jamaica Gleaner, published just yesterday, February 3rd, 2026. It's titled, AI Enters Jamaican Real Estate, Raising Questions of Accuracy and Responsibility. And look, before we dive in, I want to be clear. Our mission today isn't to be, Luddites. We aren't here to smash the looms and say, technology bad.
Not at all. I mean, we both use AI every single day. We love efficiency.
Exactly. But we need to unpack the specific tension this article highlights. It's the tension between efficiency doing things fast and trust doing things right, especially in a market like Jamaica where reputation is basically currency.
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
For the last few years, we've looked at AI as this helpful assistant, right? A way to speed things up. But this source is suggesting we've reached a tipping point where, if we aren't careful, AI shifts from being a tool to being a liability.
So let's start with the why, because this tech didn't just appear out of nowhere. Agents are adopting it, and pretty aggressively. The article mentions these tools are sweeping through offices globally and are definitely active in Jamaica now. Why the rush?
Well, if you look at the day-to-day life of a real estate agent, you get the appeal immediately. The source points out the obvious upside: efficiency. We're talking about drafting listing descriptions, editing photos.
Grunt work.
The grunt work, managing client emails, scheduling viewings.
Which, let's be honest, is not why people get into real estate. Nobody became an agent because they love writing 500-word essays about driveways or answering the same email 50 times a day.
Precisely. It burns you out. But the article highlights a pressure that is very specific to the Jamaican market, which makes this automation even more seductive. It's the diaspora factor.
Right, the overseas market. You can't talk about Jamaican real estate without talking about the diaspora.
Exactly. And think about the logistics of that for a second. A Jamaican agent isn't just selling to people in Kingston or Mobay. They are juggling clients in New York, London, Toronto, Florida.
Which means you're dealing with aggressive time zone differences.
Massive differences. So you have a client in London who is browsing listings on their lunch break. That's 6:00 a.m. in Jamaica. They see a house they love. They have questions now. They want engagement now.
And the agent is fast asleep in St. Andrew?
Exactly. So if you have an automated system, a chatbot or something, that can engage that client instantly, keep them warm, answer their basic questions, and schedule a call while you sleep, I mean, that looks like a lifesaver. It streamlines the whole administrative burden.
It sounds like good business, honestly. You're responsive, you're always on, you never miss a lead. So, where's the red flag? Why is the Gleaner sounding the alarm here?
Because there's a fundamental difference between efficiency and accuracy. The central conflict the source identifies is that the machine prioritizes speed and, plausibility. It wants to give you an answer and it wants to do it fast. It doesn't necessarily care or even know if that answer is true.
So it's the difference between a fast answer and a right answer.
Exactly. And in real estate, a wrong answer isn't just an oops.
No, it's a disaster.
It can cost millions. And it erodes the one thing that holds the whole market together, trust.
Okay, let's break this down by category because the article separates the problems into like visual lies, text lies, and then the scariest one, legal lies. Let's start with the eyes. The Instagram reality of houses.
This is the visual distortion issue. And it's tricky because the source acknowledges there is a gray area here. It's not so black and white.
Right. I mean, we all know about staging. If I'm selling my car, I wash it. If I'm selling my house, I'm going to pick up the dirty socks. I'm going to hide the dog bowl.
Of course. That's accepted practice. Tidying, decluttering, maybe brightening the exposure so the room doesn't look like a dungeon. You're presenting the property in its best light. You're helping the buyer see the potential. But the article draws a hard line at digital alterations that materially change the property.
Okay, so where is that line? What are the no-go zones mentioned in the text?
So the source lists a few specific and pretty dangerous enhancements. One is removing surrounding features.
Like what, erasing the ugly neighbor's house?
Or a bad view. Or, and this is very relevant in some areas, erasing a massive pothole in the road right in front of the gate.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about the road condition.
Think about the implication of that. If you digitally pave that road in the photo, you aren't just tidying up. You are lying about the infrastructure. You are lying about the accessibility of the home. You're telling the buyer this is smooth drive, when in reality they might need an SUV just to get to the front door without scraping the bottom of their car.
That's a huge deal. That completely changes the value of the property.
Another big one is exaggerating space. Making a broom closet look like a master suite, or suggesting finishes that just don't exist.
Like the marble I mentioned in the intro.
Right. If the AI adds in crown molding and hardwood floors into the image because it thinks it looks better or makes the image more clickable, but the actual house has, drop ceilings and ceramic tile, that's fraud. That's not enhancement, it's just fiction.
And why is this more critical in Jamaica than, say, a massive market like Manhattan?
It goes back to those diaspora buyers we talked about. The article makes a crucial point here. If you live in Manhattan and you see a listing in Brooklyn, you can go see it that afternoon. If the photo was a lie, you're annoyed, you walk out, you lost an hour.
But if I'm in London?
If you are in London or Toronto, that photo is your only reality. You are making huge financial decisions, maybe even putting down deposits, based entirely on that digital file. You can't just drive by on a Sunday.
And just think about the emotional stakes there. You've been saving for 10 years to buy a place back home. You send your cousin or your auntie to look at it, or you fly down yourself. And you arrive, and the reality doesn't match the picture.
The trust is just gone instantly. And the source emphasizes that in a small market like Jamaica, word travels fast. You haven't just lost that one sale, you've damaged the reputation of the entire agency. People talk. Don't use them. Their listings are fake.
It's the catfish effect, but instead of a bad date, you're stuck with a 30-year mortgage on a house that doesn't really exist.
That's a terrifying way to put it. But
yeah. So that's the pictures. But we have to talk about the words. Because I've played with these AI tools, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, and they are incredibly smooth. They write beautiful sentences. They can sound like Shakespeare or a contract lawyer.
They do. They're very convincing. But this leads to what the industry calls hallucinations.
Which is a funny term for a computer program. It makes it sound like the computer is dreaming.
It is a bit trippy, but it's accurate. We have to understand how these models work to see why they lie. They aren't looking up a database of verified facts about a specific address in Kingston. They are prediction engines.
So they aren't searching for truth.
No, they're basically playing a game of guess the next word. They ask what word usually comes after ocean, and they predict view. They ask what usually comes after luxury, and they predict amenities. They prioritize sounding plausible and fluent over being factually correct.
That explains why they sound so confident even when they're completely wrong.
Exactly. So the source discusses how AI systems generate information that sounds authoritative. The grammar is perfect, the tone is professional, but it can be completely made up.
And the article mentions this has already happened in other countries, right?
Oh, yeah. There have been cases overseas where AI listings just invented amenities. Imagine a listing boasting about a bustling cafe culture within walking distance.
Sounds lovely. I'd buy that.
Except the reality is a highway overpass and a gas station. The AI just thought those words sounded good together in a real estate listing. It was just filling in the blanks with what it thought should be there.
How does this apply to Jamaica specifically? Because amenities here can mean very different things depending on the parish or even the specific hill you're on.
Well, the stakes are higher here because the errors aren't just about fluff like cafes. The source lists misleading buyers about really decisive value factors. Things like access,
Like the road condition we mentioned before.
or access to utilities, or views. If the AI writes stunning ocean views because it knows homes in that general parish often have them, but this specific house is in a dip in the valley behind a ridge, that's a hallucination.
It's guessing based on the average, not describing the specific property.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And development potential is a massive one.
Oh, that's huge. Everyone wants to know if they can add on.
So if the listing says perfect for adding a second story, because the AI sees a flat roof in the photo, but the foundation wasn't built to hold the weight of a second floor.
That's a disaster waiting to happen. You buy it, you hire a contractor, and they tell you, sorry, you have to tear the whole thing down.
And that's a lawsuit. The takeaway here is that you have a smooth talking robot that doesn't actually know the lay of the land. It doesn't know the nuance of that specific street in Mandeville or that hill in St. Andrew. It's guessing based on patterns, not facts on the ground.
And that leads us to what the article identifies as the deepest danger. We've talked pictures, we've talked descriptions, but now I think we need to get serious because now we're talking about the law.
This is where the red flashing lights should be going off for every agent and buyer listening.
The source mentions a trend where platforms are marketing themselves as tools that can answer legal questions. Why is this so terrifying? I mean, laws are written down. Can't the AI just read the law and tell you what it is?
If only it were that simple. The article emphasizes that real estate transactions in Jamaica are shaped by very specific, very local frameworks. We're talking about local land law, conveyancing practice, planning controls.
It's not just what is the law, it's how is it applied right here, right now.
Right. And real estate professionals, the humans, are already walking a fine line. The source is very firm on this. Real estate agents are not lawyers. They are not legal advisors.
That's a boundary they get taught in school on day one. You sell the house, you don't write the contract.
Exactly. But technology blurs that boundary. Imagine a client asks, can I build a guest house on this land? Or can I subdivide this lot? And the agent uses an AI tool to generate an answer. The AI scans some general data and says, yes, typically land of this size allows for subdivision.
But the local restrictive covenant on that specific title says no.
Correct. Or maybe the local planning authority has a moratorium on new builds in that zone because of water supply issues. The AI doesn't know that. You can't go down to the parish council and check the files.
And suddenly the buyer has purchased a plot of land they can't actually use.
And the agent is liable. The article specifically mentions the risks around title and inheritance. This is huge in Jamaica. We have the concept of family land.
Oh, absolutely. That is incredibly complex. You can't just feed a title deed into a scanner and know the full history of who owns what or who has a claim.
No. Family land often involves generations of undocumented transfers, verbal agreements, multiple potential claimants. And AI has zero ability to understand that context. Relying on a bot to explain tenure or title exposes everyone to massive disputes.
And I can imagine standing in front of a judge and saying the chatbot told me it was okay is not going to hold up very well.
It definitely won't. That is not a valid defense.
So we have visual lies, we have hallucinated descriptions, and we have bot-generated legal malpractice. It sounds pretty bleak. Is there a voice of reason here? Or are we just doomed to a future of fake houses and lawsuits?
Thankfully, there is a path forward. The article introduces Dean Jones.
He's the founder of Jamaica Homes, right?
He is, and he offers a really grounded philosophy on this. He says, I'm quoting here, AI can help organize thoughts and draft material, but it cannot replace professional judgment or local knowledge.
I like that distinction. Organize spots. So use the AI to get your messy notes into a bulleted list. Use it to fix your spelling.
Exactly. Use it to draft the email, but you have to read it before you send it.
Yeah.
Jones emphasizes accountability. The crucial point he makes is that in Jamaican real estate, accuracy is not optional. It doesn't matter if a human wrote it or a bot wrote it. Every single representation must be checked, understood, and owned by the agent.
Owned by the agent. That's the key phrase for me. You can't outsource the responsibility. You can outsource the typing, but not the responsibility.
No. The verdict from the source is clear. AI is a support tool, not a decision maker.
So looking forward, what does the future hold? The article suggests we aren't going back to pen and paper.
No, the genie is out of the bottle. The role of AI is going to expand, the tools will get cheaper, faster, and more accessible, and honestly, the market faces real pressures. Housing affordability, land use issues. We need efficiency to help solve some of those problems.
So the tools are here to stay.
They are. But the future depends entirely on how they are used. Used carelessly, they will erode trust. And in a sector that underpins household security people's homes, their life savings eroding trust is catastrophic.
But use carefully?
Used carefully, they can support clearer communication, faster transactions, and help agents serve those diaspora clients even better. It's a crossroads, and we get to decide which way it goes.
So let's recap the main tension here before we let you go. AI offers incredible speed. It's great for the agent who wants to get home to their kids, and it's great for the diaspora buyer who wants answers at 3:00 a.m. in London.
But that speed comes with a hidden cost. The risk of hallucinating amenities, faking visuals, and botching legal advice in a market that is built entirely on trust and local reputation.
So, whether you are a buyer, a seller, or an agent listening to this, the message from the Gleaner is clear. Tools change. The responsibility for the truth does not.
Absolutely. Verify everything.
Now, here is a final thought I want to leave you with, something to mull over while you're browsing those listings tonight. We used to worry about whether the person selling us the house was honest. That was the big fear.
Right. Is this guy slick?
Now, you have to ask a deeper, weirder question. If an agent relies on AI to tell you about a property's potential, and the AI lies, who is actually selling you the house?
That is the question.
Is it the person standing in front of you, smiling and shaking your hand? Or is it the algorithm they blindly trusted? And if you end up in a dispute, can the computer told me so ever really be a valid defense?
I wouldn't want to bet my house on it.
Me neither. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and we'll see you next time.